Hello, our lesson today is lesson 5-3, and the title of this lesson is Multiplying with 0 and 1. You've learned how to use patterns to create fact tables for multiplying with 2, 5, and 9. Today you will use the same ideas to discover patterns when you multiply with 0 and 1. Our learning target today says, I can use patterns and properties to multiply with 0 and 1 as factors. Think back to when you multiplied with 2, 5, and 9. Did you multiply with 0 and 1 when you created your fact tables? We thought back about what we'd done last week and we remembered, yes, we had multiplied by 0 and 1 when we created those fact tables. Here's a problem we talked about today. Jackson has 6 bowls. He puts 1 apple in each bowl. How many apples does he use? Students looked at the pictures, they thought about this, and they knew that this question was asking them what is 6 times 1. 6 times 1 equals 6 because any number times 1 equals that number. So we looked at a fact table like this and we thought about all these numbers times 1 and what they equaled. We realized that any number times 1 is that first number you started with. We also looked down at the zeros and we got kind of bored writing so many zeros. All those zeros down in the column, all those products were also 0. Then we talked about what patterns we saw. Students were pretty quick to find that we were counting by ones when we multiply by 1. And they also noticed that any number times 1, the product is the same as the factor you're multiplying by 1. With zeros, we saw an even more obvious pattern. Anything times 0 is 0. We thought that that was probably the easiest pattern we could think of. We talked about some important terms that we need to know for this lesson. The identity, also known as the 1 property of multiplication, says that the product of any number and 1 is that number. So for example, 8 times 1 is 8, or you could say 17 times 1 is 17. 3042 times 1 is 3042. Any number times 1 is that number. We also talked about the 0 property of multiplication. And the 0 property of multiplication says that the product of any number and 0 is 0. So it doesn't matter what you're multiplying by 0. The product is always the same. It's always 0. We practiced with a few problems, so right now think about the answers in your head and then I'll show you the answer on the screen. Here's another problem we talked about. Chad has 6 plates. There is 1 apple and 0 grapes on each plate. How many apples in all? How many grapes in all? 6 apples, 0 grapes. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 0 is 0. What's the missing factor here? It is 1. Tickets for a school concert are free for students. Adult tickets cost $1 each. What's the total cost of tickets for 2 adults and 5 students? Well, $1 or 1 times 2 for the 2 adults is 2. 0 or free times 5 for 5 students is 0 or free. So the total is $2. Here's a game we played. And that was it for today.